Association of Schools. We at CAS are very excited to collaborate with the Office of Early Childhood, the Connecticut State Department of Education, and the Regional Education Service Center's RESC Alliance to support the needs of all of Connecticut's youngest learners, including children with special needs and other vulnerable populations, by sharing with you the most current information as well as research and best practices for early childhood education. There's so much to think about as we plan for reopening schools this fall, especially for our youngest students across the state. So we're really glad you're here. Just a couple of quick reminders. Everyone has been muted to begin with, but once you get into the breakout rooms, please unmute yourself to talk with each other. If possible, please turn your video on, as it's nice to be able to see everyone, especially when we're working in small groups. When we are working as a whole group, you may ask questions in the chat or raise your hand with the button at the bottom of the screen. During this session, you may use the chat feature to ask questions, share ideas, and let us know if you experience technical problems during the Zoom meeting, as we will be monitoring the chat. However, when you're in the breakout rooms, the chat feature is only seen by the people in our breakout rooms. If you have questions or need help when you're in the breakout room, please use the help button and one of our hosts will respond. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted for future viewing, so please share the link to this webinar with your colleagues once it's posted on the CAS, OEC, CSDE, and RESC websites. Due to technical issues, closed caption is not working for our session today. We hope to have this issue resolved for future sessions. We do, however, have a hearing impaired interpreter who will be visible during this session. Again, I'd like to welcome and thank all of you for joining us today. It's now my pleasure to introduce our facilitator for this continued roundtable conversation, Ed Advanced Early Childhood Consultant, Judy Courteau. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Rosie. I am Judy Courteau, and I will be moderating today's session. We know that some schools are already in session, and many of you will be opening soon. So we're so pleased that you have taken time from your extremely demanding schedule to join in this conversation. Rosie has told you who we are, and let me talk about our purpose. Our purpose is to provide administrators and early childhood leaders with support and resources to enhance high-quality early learning environments and experiences for all children ages 3 to 5, and especially children with IEPs in their least restrictive environment. COVID-19 has forced us to pause and rethink how to structure and implement safe, engaging, and responsive learning experiences in multiple contexts. As we continue with these monthly roundtable conversations, we will address your interests and concerns in this ever-changing and transformative time in the manner that best meets your needs. These conversations will guide our actions over the next few months. Today's agenda includes a message from Andrea Brinnel from the Connecticut State Department of Education. We will have an opportunity to meet in small groups with your colleagues and share your district's reopening plans specific to early childhood. And we will conclude by coming back together, sharing aspects of your conversations with a larger group. We'll first begin with Andrea, who will share any new updates from the Connecticut State Department of Education. Andrea?
Thank you very much, Judy, and thank you all for being here on our very gloomy, howly, windy day. It looks like nighttime outside my window of my office right now. So we'll all keep our fingers crossed that we don't have any internet or power outages anytime soon. I wanted to be able to share with you that there are a couple of updates with regard to guidance for preschool, in particular preschool and public schools. That you may have heard about, you may have heard are imminent. So one of the new pieces of guidance, and this is actually, it's not just for preschool and public schools, this is for all early childhood classrooms, but it also applies to preschool and public schools, is that class size has officially, there has been guidance that it is going up from 14 to 16. I have heard from the field that that's actually a good thing for many of our programs, especially those that are still talking about LRE and are trying to make sure that they have spaces for children as they turn 3 as school is starting. The other thing you may have heard about is the issue of masks for our children in preschool. I have been instructed that it is imminent that that is going to be happening, that we are going to be getting new guidance that will require students 2 and older to be wearing masks. Right now, the guidance that's currently in place is that we're not allowed to require them in preschools and public schools. That is the guidance in effect. And again, it is imminent that there will be a new executive order and masks will be required. When that does happen, I will make sure that that gets out through all of my distribution lists. It'll go out through SDE, it'll go out through the OEC, and there will also be some additional guidance to go with that about learning to wear masks and having some allowances for young children to get them into the habit and be developmentally appropriate and effective with getting them to wear masks. So I thought those were both really important things to share with you, because I have been getting tons of emails saying I'm hearing rumors about this and that. So that's where we officially stand on both of those. Please enjoy the rest of the webinar. And as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Andrea. And as I said, it's ever changing and will continue to change. Next slide, please. You're going to be arbitrarily assigned to small breakout groups and have about 30 minutes. Each person will have approximately 5 minutes to share out your plans. As you're being assigned to the breakout room, the room number is going to show, and I want you to remember what that room number is, because I will be asking you to share out by room number when we reconvene in the large group. In each group, you're going to assign a facilitator, a timekeeper, and a recorder in the fastest way possible. Each person will share out one part of their reopening plan that you are excited about or believe will support the transition of your students or staff back to school, and one part of the plan that you still have lingering questions or concerns. As a group, identify one important, exciting strategy. The facilitator needs to be prepared to share this strategy when we reconvene. When we return to the large group, the recorder will type your lingering questions and concerns into the chat box for everyone to see. It's very important that those concerns are put into the chat box, because they will help to guide our conversations over the next few months. You also received a Word document with the breakout room directions, and this will help to guide you and record your conversations. You'll receive a 1-minute reminder when the session is about to end, and our team members may be dropping in and out of your sessions. So I hope the directions are clear, and refer to the Word document that was sent out to you. And right now we're going to go into our small breakout rooms.
Judy?
Yes.
Could we just pause for a minute? We had a question in the chat box about timeline for the guidance being released regarding the requirement for wearing masks. And I was wondering if, Andrea, if you wanted to, if you had your best guess for when that would be out. Districts are, people are saying their first day of school is coming up. Parents are currently under the impression their preschoolers will not be required to wear masks, and so they want to be able to communicate that.
I actually don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but what I have heard that there are many principals and program directors are doing is they're actually sending correspondence to families pretty much saying what I said, that our current guidance is that we're not requiring masks, but we do hear that it is imminent that it will happen. So we are alerting you to this. If your child is not already accustomed to wearing a mask, you may want to start practicing them with them at home and when you go out places with them, and that they will let them know as soon as they get the alert that it has changed.
Thank you, Andrea and Anne-Marie. Okay, as we get ready to go into our small breakout rooms, remember to have your Word document to help guide your conversation. I think that it was probably a benefit that we were able to meet in smaller groupings, and there's not as many groups. So because of, for whatever reasons, the weather, because some principals are busy with a school day, we'll have an opportunity to hear from each of the groups. So what I'm going to do, there were 5 of them, I am going to ask the first group if they could just give their name and the other people who are with them and share one of the exciting, interesting reopening strategies. And those of you who were recorders, if you could take the time right now to go into the chat box and start recording, typing in what your concerns were, because those are going to help to guide our future meetings. Okay, so let's start with the room number 1. Can we have the recorder, excuse me, the facilitator share out what happened in room 1?
This is Michelle. I believe I was in group 1. We were a small group. There were 3 of us, and I believe David and Happy Gabrielson both had to leave to take care of a couple of things.
Okay.
So maybe the only remaining group member. So, you know, we talked a lot about just being excited about having kids back and being in person with kids. I talked a little about some of the things we had heard from programs that did distance learning in the summer and their connections with families, and how they were able to really forge positive relationships because they were connecting individually with families so much more than they were able to during the in-person sessions. And that some families were really able to use some of those strategies throughout the day and across, you know, all day, all week. And so they were seeing some real positive gains with some children whose families were able to really actively engage in distance learning.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting because that is a thing that we have heard with one of the benefits of the distance learning has been the connection to families and strengthening that relationship. Thank you very much. Would room number 2 have their facilitator ready to share out?
Sally, that was us. Did you
Yep.
want to go ahead and do that, or did you want me to jump in as we talked about?
Go ahead, Sonia. I was the facilitator, but Sonia took great notes.
I don't know how great the notes were.
I'll try.
So we were all excited about having the kids back. That to us was like number 1. Even if for some people it wasn't as consistent as we would like. Sally shared that in her district, their kids were coming every day, which she was very excited about.
Yep, 5 days, full in.
Mm-hmm. And that was very exciting. I think that was what we all talked about a lot.
Yep. And ASD, is that Jeannie?
Julie.
Julie, her program too was 5 days at ASD. Yeah. We were also excited about, let's see, having small class sizes. Some people felt like that was exciting. Not so much for me, but, and that they were having 80% of their kiddos were coming back. And they also showed us their clear masks that they're using in their program, which was exciting too.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's hear from group number 2.
We were group 2.
I'm sorry, group number 3.
Group 3 got disbanded.
Okay.
And spread out.
So who was in Zoom room number 4?
I was in group 4. I don't know if I'm on here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Kristen.
It is storming here, so I'm afraid my Wi-Fi might go out. Okay. So group 4, the exciting news that I shared my center, specifically the Waterbury Y. We have been open since March, so we've worked through most of the pandemic. In March, we opened as Project 26, working directly with the Waterbury and St. Mary Hospital staff's children. We reopened our main school readiness center in July. And knock on wood, working through this whole thing, the exciting news is we have not had one positive case. So,
Wow.
and we had Kristen from Fairfield and Jen from Meriden in our group.
Excellent. Kristen, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's very reassuring to hear about how you're containing the spread of COVID in the classroom, because I know that parents, administrators, teachers, everyone is so concerned about that. And you having the history of working with those young little ones since March is very reassuring. Thank you so much. And can we hear from Zoom room number 5?
Hi, I was in room 5, so I was elected to share this part. I think that we talked about a lot of the things that everyone else has mentioned, but definitely excited about the technology updates or increases or application of technology to assure that instruction can occur and that kids can really participate in the instruction, you know, sort of equitably across the district. And then everybody really just talked also about the amount of effort that's gone into it and how good they feel about the amount of effort across entire buildings to get to the place where everybody is right now. So I think those are the 2 things. Group 5, anything else in terms of excitement? Well, and of course, obviously also having kids back in the building.
Mm-hmm.
School buildings with kids again.
Right.
So that is exciting that everyone's come together and moving forward together and taking on the challenge together. And our last breakout room was number 6. We have someone share from that Zoom room. Was there a room 6?
There was a room 6. Room 6 ended up being a couple of us on the work group committee.
Okay.
And really we only had one district. Well, we had several districts. And I'm trying to wrap my head around what we were excited about. I'm not sure I can articulate the one thing. So Linda or Julie or Kathy, please feel free to jump in. I know the concern we all shared was how do we ensure that preschool children have enough masks, recognizing that it will take more than one for a school day, and who supplies those, and the logistics of getting them off safely and getting children outside. We had some interesting conversation around, on the upside, around how specials or essentials are implemented to promote safety in the cohorting. So I don't know, Kathy, can you jump in with something? Kathy from Southington.
Second to unmute.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello. I meeting a little bit late, so I didn't catch the main group conversation. Able to join just the breakouts, and we did a like kind of question and answer between us to learn some information from each other, which was really helpful to kind of see where people were in certain aspects of things. And unfortunately, it keeps on going back to masks right now. I think that's a uncomfortable situation for all of us in the preschool level. And even when going to be some finite decision about these that we're anticipating, to implement that for some of our youngest children who we have, or sensory issues that really impact the ability to have face covering on face and environment safe, but need to get the services that they need. I think that can be heavy on us.
Okay, Kathy, thank you so much. So I hope that you were able to share it and felt comfortable talking about some of these exciting strategies that you have. And I was really excited to hear how excited everybody is about finally getting the children back into the classroom. There are some of the concerns coming up in the chat box that are similar for each groups. And Anne Marie, I think one of the big concerns is around the numbers of children that are going to be in the preschool programs because of what's going on with COVID. And I heard someone mention that with the perhaps the requirement of wearing masks, that may make families feel even more afraid of sending their child. I'm not sure, but I'd like to offer that out to the larger group to maybe to just consider and think about and ask for some responses to that. Because as we think about the sizes of those preschool classrooms, we also want to remember how important the least restrictive environment is for our children, and that we have typically developing peers within that group as well. And if you're having difficulty having your families that have children with IEPs coming in, how are you going to begin to recruit other children from the community? And anybody who would like to respond or to give some thought to that, if you'd like to raise your hand.
Oh, okay.
We can call on you.
Yeah, I'll raise my hand.
Okay, and go right ahead.
Oh, so you sure? And that is one of my main concerns is recruitment, because people are calling us and we have a long waiting list. This year feels very different. And we have just the opposite. We have children with disabilities with IEPs coming. And we are not able to get other kiddos here. And some of our families are naturally concerned, worried, don't want their child to be in a group setting. And some of our families are unemployed, so they're home, so they're not looking for preschool. Or, we charge tuition and because they're unemployed, that's an issue for them. So there's just multiple things that are making it hard, and we haven't given up. I'm hoping that once we reopen on Monday, and I'm hoping families will see how things go and they're smooth. We have all the strategies everyone's talked about in place. So I'm hoping that will change. Whoa, that was a
big one. So
must have heard me.
So Sally, it sounds as though one of your hopes is that as families and staff become more comfortable with the way that learning is being provided, and the information comes out that no increases of COVID or very low increases of COVID.
Right.
You'll have more interest.
I think it's a dangerous time for public school preschool, because you hear about districts who have done away with their class, or they're not doing remote learning because those things are not mandated. And that's not a position I want to be in here. And so, losing funding will impact. I get it, why the OEC might need to do that, but I don't want to open that door. So I'm afraid of how far it will open.
Could I just add something? I can't raise my hand because I'm a co-host. I'm physically raising my hand.
You're send us money, right, Andrea? Go ahead.
So one of the strategies, and Sally, you may have been in other meetings with me where I've mentioned this, but one of the strategies that I thought was sort of compelling, especially with typically developing peers, and I guess this could be, school readiness, it could be through just any district funded, is consideration of having the board change your residency policy and perhaps having your preschool open to your teachers who are having difficulty with childcare. Because in some areas, there's really a shortage of spaces because of the smaller classes.
Yeah.
So maybe an issue of sort of killing two birds with one stone, getting childcare for your teachers and getting typically developing peers.
Yeah, so I was at a meeting when you mentioned that, and I did run that by our central office. I think we are offering childcare for teachers in the district. However, it's not pre-K, it's K and up. And many families have already arranged childcare for their preschooler, teachers. But one of the things that I might explore is our School Readiness Council does have policy around, there's 6 of us in a regional council up here in the Northeast. So reaching out to other communities within our council might be the next step. I was waiting to see school start and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we definitely looking for creative ways to up our class list.
Right. And I see still that what's coming in are the concerns around masks and who's going to be providing the masks and how is that going to be handled. Have any of the school districts have a policy in place or a procedure for their students? Are the parents expected to send the children with masks and then have backup for them? Anyone have a response to that or a plan? Or have heard of anything?
So yeah, I'll let somebody else.
Go ahead, Sally.
So our district, K and up, is requiring students to arrive with a mask. In the event that they should forget it or drop it or whatever, the district does have backup masks for kids.
I know that I'm not in a district, but I heard another district that was having kids come in with 2 baggies, one that says clean and one that says dirty. And so if something did happen to the mask that they were wearing when they came into school in the morning, they would put that into the, go home or dirty bag, and then the clean bag would be their extra bag or their new mask. I know that, so that was one strategy that they were implementing. And I think, Andrea, you said there would be some guidance around or supporting children to wear masks that would come out with the guidance, but there also are resources around mask wearing available on some, like the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations has some social stories about wearing masks. I'm not sure. So anyway, there are things out there that maybe, I guess, and people were talking about starting school soon and parents thinking we're sending kids without needing to wear masks, and now that's going to change. So between now and the first day of school, there are some resources that could be sent home or emailed or posted for families to access.
Anne-Marie, thank you for bringing up the pyramid resource, because I do have that listed as one of the resources in our slides. So on this page, there's a YouTube video that is a cute little story about how to encourage children to wear masks, and there's also a social story pertaining to that, and there's also a guide. So those are included in our resource pages too. I'm sorry, Sally, you were going to say something?
Well, Andrea had mentioned there might be a little bit of like wiggle room in terms of, if they decide this on Monday, that's our first day of school. So if, I'm hoping that there'll be some time allowed for us to directly, explicitly teach mask wearing to 3 and 4-year-olds, and by a certain date, everyone will have it on if they can. They're preschoolers. They're going to do what they're going to do, no matter what the guidance is, right?
So I don't know this for sure, but it looks like it's going to be every program should be coming up with a mask policy, and then there'll be that not grace period, but teaching period until probably like mid-October when they expect kids to be. So I think that in the drafting of it, they're trying to be very reasonable and understanding that, just because you tell a 2-year-old to do something or a 3-year-old to do something doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Oh, that's good to hear.
I wanted to thank everyone for your valuable comments, and I think it's really important that we are coming together in this way because of that lens of perception regarding young children. It is a different world for them, and I think that this provides that arena for us to really address what is developmentally appropriate and making sure that our instructional practices are a match to what we know is important for young children and how they learn. So this is going to continue to be a dynamic conversation. We were able to meet with you early on in August, and we wanted to meet with you again before most of you went back to school, but some are already in session. We hope to continue to do this on a monthly basis. And next slide, please. Our next Principals Roundtable will be held on Thursday, October 1st from 9 to 11 a.m. And we are looking at a consistent day every month. So we're looking at the first Thursday of every month. And Thursdays and the time were chosen because we reviewed the survey that you filled out last time. The majority of people preferred this time, but so right now we think this meets your needs, but like you, we're going to be flexible as well. And you're very brave, all of you. I just want to thank you so much. The next slide, please. And we know you're up to the challenges, and I was really excited. I was able to figure out how to bounce in and out of the Zoom rooms. And there's always something special about an early childhood Zoom room. I've been in Zoom rooms with other grade levels and administrators, and it's not quite as joyful. And I think that's one of the pieces that we have in our hearts that we're able to bring into this conversation about working with young children and their families. And I just want to thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. Yes. And we will be sending you a note. You'll be receiving an email for us for the next meeting, and you have all of our addresses and email contact information through the rest. So please don't hesitate to contact us at any time. And again, thank you, and be safe out there in this weather.